Hi everybody. Sorry it's been so long. You know, I've had finals the last few weeks and then all of a sudden got hit with this really horrible stomach bug. So if I still am kind of not fully recovered. So if I look or sound bad, it's because I don't feel the greatest still. But I know I needed to come out and see you guys and talk to you guys about some more ABA terms. So today I wanted to talk with everybody about differential reinforcement. So I'm going to do this video kind of like I did the last one, so that way I can share my slides and you guys can see me too, because I also have one or two examples to show you guys. So without further ado, here is differential reinforcement. So differential reinforcement. What in the world does this mean? So I've included a professional definition of differential reinforcement and a simple definition. So the professional definition is we only reinforcement. Excuse me, let's try this again, see if I can get my stuff together today, y'all. Reinforcing only those responses within a response class that meet specific criterion along some dimensions, e.g. frequency, topography, duration, latency, or magnitude, and places all of the other responses within that class on extinction. Okay, so that makes about as much sense as, reading a doctor's note. So let me try to help break that down to you guys. So what the simple way of explaining differential reinforcement is, we're not giving reinforcement to a specific behavior. So what that means is the behavior is on extinction. And if you guys remember from previous trainings, extinction is essentially just not giving any type of reinforcement to that behavior again. We're just completely getting rid of reinforcement for it. And then we reinforce a different behavior. Most of the time we're hoping it's going to be a more socially appropriate behavior, but as you'll see when I go through some of these slides, that sometimes they can actually bring up some new problem behaviors. So some things to remember is this should be a behavior that the child can do easily, and when they engage in that new behavior, we have to reinforce it. Make sure you're praising them or giving them what they want. So we also need to know the function or the purpose of the behavior. So if they're doing it for attention, we give them tons of praise, great job, or hugs or cuddles or whatever it is they're seeking. If they're doing it for escape, so to get out of something, we make sure that we're teaching them a way to get a break rather than screaming and running away from the task. And if it's something as simple as a tangible, like a toy or something like that, we give it to them. So those are some things to keep in mind with differential reinforcement. So there are multiple different kinds of differential reinforcement. Let me pop myself out of the screen so you guys can see. There's differential reinforcement of low response, differential reinforcement of other behaviors, differential reinforcement of incompatible behaviors. We can go into DRAs, which are alternative behaviors. Then we get into two that I won't really go into too much detail on because they honestly don't get used too often. But differential reinforcement of higher response and differential reinforcement of diminishing rate. So I want to just start referring to these by the letters DR, whatever it is. So for this one, DRL, so lower rate. So let me switch this back for you guys. So I've included again the professional definition and the simple definition. I'll leave this up long enough where you guys can read the professional definition. But I'm honestly just going to talk about it, make it simpler, because some of these professional definitions are super hard to understand, especially for somebody who is not studying ABA. So if you're a family member and you're just trying to figure out some of the different techniques that your therapist is using, you don't really need to know these professional definitions. So a simple way of saying what a DRL is we're trying to decrease a behavior. So it doesn't have to be an inappropriate behavior, but we want it to be at a more acceptable rate. So, and when we do this, it's going to be at a specific time range. So let's say with my example here, we'll go with, well, me on the example today. Brittany talks a lot. We want her to continue talking, but we don't want her to talk as much. So let's say in a class, and I didn't go too specific into this example, but let's say in class I engage in 10 or so conversations on one day, 6 the other 4 one day, blah, blah, blah. So we round that up, and it comes to about, when we do our average, it's about 5 conversations within that hour time period. So what we want to do is we're going to say, Brittany, if you can keep your conversations to 5 or less during class, then you will get this reinforcement. So eventually we'll work it down to, okay, Brittany, now we want you to do 4 or less, 3 or less. And then we'll say 2 is where we're okay. So once you make it to 2, then I think that's an appropriate level of conversation in class. So it's just bringing a high frequency behavior that's still okay behavior in many ways. Sometimes it can be inappropriate, but most of the time you're going to see this going to be appropriate behavior. So you just want it to be less of. So we want this behavior to go down to an appropriate level. DRO, so this is other behaviors. So differential reinforcement of other behaviors. So as you can see, again, I've included the professional definition, but the simple definition is we're decreasing the challenging behavior by either reinforcing any behavior but that behavior, or the absence of that challenging behavior. And this is also going to be one of those that's in a set time period. So if, let's go to my example here. I want Jeremy to stop hitting his friends for attention. And he does it all the time. So let's say that I will reinforce him for every 10 minutes that he goes. And I just kind of pulled this out of the air. Your therapist will actually do what's called an IRT and things like that to set the amount of time, and then so that's the interval length. So the interval length, and they'll also set up the frequency rate of how many times, when it's this, they won't need the frequency. But they'll just set up the amount of time that they want to go without that behavior, then reinforce at that time. So we'll just say it's 10 minutes for Jeremy. And Jeremy he goes 10 minutes without hitting his friends, so we reinforce him. And it's for attention, so we give him praise, hugs, loves, kisses, cuddles, whatever. And then he goes the next 10 minutes without it again, and so we keep going, reinforcing that. Let's say in one of those 10-minute time periods, he hits a friend. Well, he doesn't get that reinforcement because he hit a friend. But usually what we would do is we would restart that time period and then keep going. So it just kind of depends on how people want to set it up. It could be a little differently. or done a little differently, but it's going to be reinforcing a behavior that's not the problem behavior in a set time. So a differential reinforcement of an incompatible behavior, a DRI. This is a behavior that you can't do at the same time as another behavior. That's plain and simple. So this is going to be, you want to decrease the challenging behavior by no longer reinforcing it. So again, we're putting it on extinction. And then instead of reinforcing that behavior, we're going to reinforce a specific behavior that they cannot perform at the same time. So if we go up to my example here, Sam licks her hands, or his hands, sorry. And to stop him from licking, we give him bubble gum to chew, because it's kind of hard to chew bubble gum and lick your hand at the same time. You're going to end up biting yourself. So you're not going to be able to lick your hand and chew at the same time. So that is why we would use an incompatible behavior for that. So, and usually you're going to want to make sure we know what the function of the behavior is. So in this case, we're just saying it's sensory. It's that oral fixation. We just need something in our mouth, or our mouth touching something. So that's what this one is. So, but you can use this for any function of behavior. So escape. So you want to find an incompatible way for them to get out. So instead of let's say, let's go to attention. You can't, if you're screaming for attention, I want attention, give me attention. You can't ask, if you use a soft, low voice, you can't scream at the same time. I know that sounds kind of silly, but you can't scream and talk in a whisper at the same time. So a DRA is a differential reinforcement of an alternative behavior. So this, again, all these, as you see, we're trying to decrease a challenging behavior. So this one, we're trying to decrease the challenging behavior by putting on an extinction again. And we're going to reinforce a different behavior that meets the same function and is more socially appropriate. So if we go up here to the examples for a DRA, Bella chews her nails. So you're chewing your nails all day long. But instead of chewing her nails, we teach her to file her nails. So that's an alternative. And an alternative behavior and an incompatible behavior can be interchangeable. The terms are not interchangeable, but the behaviors can be. So the other two I wanted to talk about, and I don't really want to go too far into these, mostly because we don't use these too often, and that's why I didn't even put the professional definitions on here. But they are there, and I need to know them, so I figured might as well get some practice. So a DRH is differential reinforcement of a high response. So this is going to be a behavior that's, again, appropriate, but it doesn't occur at a high enough rate. So let's say somebody can talk and can ask for things, but they don't ask as often as they need to. So we're going to reinforce them going up to say more things. Or so going up like steps. The more they say things, the more they, the higher rate it's going to go. And the DRD, this one, I've had a little struggle with this one, but I'm going to do my best. A DRD is the differential reinforcement of a diminishing rate. Now, this one for me, I got really confused with a DRL, the low lower response, because you're trying to lower something, and the big difference between a DRD and a DRL is that a DRL is like a frequency count. So how many times something occurs. So you want, somebody says something too many times, you want it to go down. A DRD is more so a speed, how fast things go. So you want the rate of we'll say speech to go down. So the slower the person talks, the more you reinforce, or they reinforce the slower speech. So you're going to continue to reinforce until they're at an appropriate speed of speech or speed of behavior. And again, like I said, it's super confusing for me, but I figured I should just try to let you guys hear it and see what you guys think. So I wanted to do something a little bit different today. So I put back up those differential reinforcers up on the screen, and I'll pop myself down when I start talking. So what my plan for this is I am going to use pretty much the same scenario. And this one is a real scenario. It's something I'm dealing with right now. And try to make it fit all of these and see if you guys can kind of guess which differential reinforcement type this is. So I'm going to go ahead and get myself out of the screen. So Brendan, my son, when we go to the grocery store, says hello and goodbye to everyone he sees. So we go up and down the aisle, and we may pass the same person 3 or 4 times, and he says hello to them 3 or 4 times. So I want him to still say hello and goodbye, but less often. So what I have done is we have made a little hello goodbye chart. And let me show you that. This is our little hello goodbye chart. And it's got tickets. Hello goodbye tickets. So we fill them up, and then every time he says hello and goodbye, we take a ticket off and put it in the back. He can only say it 5 times, as you can see. And if he goes 5 minutes without using, or with using only 5 of it, or using 5 of his tickets, and he only used 5 tickets or less, then we reinforce him. If he continues to say hi during the 5 minutes after his tickets run out, then he doesn't get reinforcement. So what type of differential reinforcement might that be? Well, I was trying to go for a differential reinforcement of lower response. We're trying to get Brendan to say hello and goodbye less often, and we're trying to reinforce him saying it less often. So that's what our whole ticket plan is for. I will let you guys know if it works, because so far I have forgotten to bring it to the grocery store. Okay, so we're going to continue with the grocery store example. So let's say now that in the grocery store, Brendan says hello, goodbye to everybody he sees. So instead of reinforcing that, I reinforce him not saying it at all, or any behavior that's not hello, goodbye. What type of differential reinforcement would that be? If you said DRO, that is correct. So remember, a DRO is other behavior. So it could be the lack of the problem behavior or any behavior that's not the problem behavior. So let's go now, or let's say that we're still in that grocery store, and instead of reinforcing Brendan saying hello, goodbye to everybody, I have taught him how to wave and smile. What type of differential reinforcement would that be? That would be an alternative behavior, DRA. So instead of saying hello, goodbye, he's waving, hi, hi. So hi is, he's still getting that interaction, but he's not verbally saying hi. So he gets to see people and he gets to wave at them. It might be a little more appropriate than saying hi to the same people over and over and over again. So that's would be the DRA. So let's say I am a crazy mom. And if you know me, you know I am a crazy mom. But I want to preface this with, I have not done this to my child, nor will I ever do this to my child. Let's say, for the sake of this fun, I give my child a cappuccino or espresso or something before we go into the grocery store. And he is talking so fast you can't even understand what he's saying. So I want him to slow down. So he's saying hello, goodbye to everybody. Hello, goodbye, hello, goodbye, hello, goodbye. And every time he slows down and says hello, goodbye, a little slower. Hello, hi, hi there, I reinforce him. What type of differential reinforcement would that be? That's going to be the DRD, the differential reinforcement of diminishing rate. Because remember, I'm trying to slow him down. I'm going to do one more, and this is just for fun. And I'm sorry, I know you guys probably think, Brittany, you've got a twisted sense of fun, which, you know, maybe I do. But let's say that we're going back, we're still in that grocery store. And instead of, so Brendan says hi too many times, and instead of reinforcing him saying hi, goodbye, I have him sing the whole time we're in the grocery store. And I reinforce him for singing. What type of differential reinforcement would this be? Now, this could be two of them, but I'm actually going for a particular type of differential reinforcement. If you said alternative behavior, DRA, you're not wrong. But actually I was going for a DRI, the incompatible, because you can't say hi and goodbye and sing at the same time. Well, I guess you could sing hi and goodbye. But if you're singing the ants go marching one by one, hurrah, hurrah, you can't say hi and goodbye while singing hurrah, hurrah. So that was where I was going with that one. And so I hope that made a little bit more sense. Because these things can get super confusing, and they get confusing for me, and talking to some other people in the field of ABA, sometimes they forget which ones are which. So, you know, like I said, DRD, DRH, DRL get really, really confusing. People tend to scramble them up and can't remember which one's which. So I hope I kind of helped explain this a little bit better to you guys. So I also kind of wanted to talk about when you can try to use differential reinforcement procedures. So one time you can say like we talked about with DRL and DRH, the behavior is appropriate. And even with DRD, the behavior is appropriate to talk and to do things like that. But we want it to happen the appropriate amount of time, the appropriate speed, and things like that. So differential reinforcement would be great for something like that. Also, when we know what the function of the behavior is, Sorry, I'm puppy sitting and they're apparently about to wrestle, so it could get loud. So if you know what the purpose or the function of the behavior is, and you can think of a new behavior that's easier for them to do and it is more reinforcing, that would be a great time to use differential reinforcement. And most of the time when you talk to people, especially in the ABA field, they're going to tell you that before going to any type of punishment procedure, they're going to want to know if differential reinforcement would work. And usually differential reinforcement is going to be paired with extinction. So do those things work? If not, then yeah, maybe we should go to that punishment procedure. Or if they haven't been tried, maybe we should try differential reinforcement before we start putting the child in timeout or taking away reinforcers or even scolding or spanking that child. They do not spank your child at ABA. Don't worry about that. I was thinking more along the line of home because I know some people still do use spanking, which I will not say any more about that. But you're going to want to, like I said, did you try differential reinforcement before we went to this punishment procedure? That's a question that you're going to have to answer. And sometimes there are going to be behaviors that are severe enough or life-threatening that you go straight to punishment. The behaviors that I'm talking about today are more so, they're not life-threatening behaviors. These are going to be behaviors that make it difficult for the child to learn or to be in the social environment very well. Like they don't mix with their classes very well, or they impede learning of themselves or other people. So stuff like that. If it's a life-threatening issue, most of the time it's going to be dealt with in a different way. And that is going to be up to you, your behavior analyst, and the school if that's involved, and your doctor. So make sure you guys talk that out before you even go into that next step, unless it is life-threatening. Well, still talk it out if it's a life-threatening issue. Know the pros and cons of everything. But anyway, continuing on. Sorry, I kind of get off on my little soapboxes sometimes. So I've included, again, I like to keep those helpful links for you guys. These are videos explaining differential reinforcement. They probably will do a much better job than I did because I am still a student and I'm still trying to learn. And sometimes it's just nice to have a different perspective on things. Some people can think of examples off the top of their head faster, and they're also not trying to get over the stomach flu. So maybe it'll be a little bit easier for them to give you guys different examples and behaviors. And as always, I include my reference, which I take almost, oh my goodness, I don't spell today. See, this is what happens when you're sick. Take most of my things from the Cooper text. The references, the helpful links come from YouTube, so I hope you guys enjoy those. I wanted to say that, let me full screen myself, that I am planning to do the live question and answer session here very soon. I'm hoping next week. I just wanted to let you guys know that to look for that. With that, I want to make sure I will lay out some rules for that because there are some things that I can't answer. Ethically, legally, and that so on and so forth. There are also going to be things that I just don't have experience with. So if I don't have experience with it and you ask me the question, and I'll go find somebody who does have the experience and talk with them. And also, hold on one second. Puppies, no. So I'll talk with somebody who does have the answers. And most of the time, guys, if this is a specific question to your child, and I've not worked with your child, I really can't answer that question. It's not that I don't want to help you or that I don't have the information. It's that even trained and licensed individuals can't give advice without having assessed that child. So if I've never worked with your child, then I'm probably not going to be able to answer direct questions about your child. If you want to ask me general questions about ABA, I'll be more than happy to. If you have TRICARE questions, I will do my best. Other insurances I'm not so great with, but again, I will help find the answers if you want. And I can also help try to find some different resources available to you guys. So that's kind of going to be what my question and answer sessions will be about. And hopefully, I'm hoping to get some BCBAs and some other people with experience in the ABA field involved in this, and maybe they can answer some more in-depth questions. Again, not about your child specifically, but more about ABA and things that they have experience with in clinics. All right, guys. Thank you guys so much for being so patient with me for the past few weeks. I am going to continue to do my videos every week. I am back in school. I started on Monday, so it's been a pretty busy week. So if you guys have any other questions or anything like that, please make sure you leave comments in the comment section. Puppies, I said no. Sorry. Leave questions or comments in the comment section. Make sure you guys share it on YouTube and from Facebook and YouTube. And watch out for my next videos next week. If you guys have anything you want me to discuss, leave that in the comment section as well. As always, thank you. Make sure you subscribe and share. Bye.